Hello and welcome to the Providence College Podcast. I'm your host, Liz Kay, and I'm joined by producer Chris Judge of the class of 2005. Here at the Providence College Podcast, we bring you interesting stories from the Friar family. Today, we're talking with Amanda Klane, a member of the class of 2008 and co-founder of Yasso, the Greek frozen yogurt dessert company. Today, Yasso products are available in the freezer section of more than 15,000 grocery stores in all 50 states. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I guess it'd be great to start right at the beginning. What inspired you to start your company?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always into health and wellness. I played soccer, which I eventually went to Providence to play. But I also grew up in the food industry. My dad was a food broker, so kind of a middleman between retailers and manufacturers. And so grew up kind of walking the aisles of a grocery store. And so after college, I was working for him and, living with some of my friends in Boston. And, what we realized was there was definitely transitions happening in the food industry, but there was one category which we loved as consumers that didn't seem to transition. And there was really no good offering there. And that was the ice cream category. We grew up in New England, big Ben and Jerry's fans. However, when we looked at the category, what we saw was you had your diet items with Skinny Cow and Weight Watchers, and then you kind of had these super premium items with Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's that, although they tasted amazing, delivered 300 calories and up. And so for us, it was really, how do we create a product that people can eat every day and enjoy this dessert that, Americans love, being ice cream, but do it in a way where the product could taste like you were eating a Ben & Jerry's, but deliver a nutritional profile and ingredients that were clean and healthy. And so that was in 2009, we kind of set out to figure out how do we change the dessert game and create products that, consumers can eat every day and feel good about. And so, 2009 is when we actually started it and set out. Had to go to ice cream camp, which is actually a real thing. At Penn State, they have an ice cream camp. So really had to kind of learn about, how you create ice cream and make frozen dessert products. And so took us a couple of years to figure that out. We eventually hired some food scientists at the University of Nebraska to help us launch the business and went to market in 2011 with the first frozen Greek yogurt product to hit the market. And since then, I've really just continued to grow the brand and the business. And now, obviously, like you mentioned, we're available nationwide in most major retailers and have continued to grow the assortment and offer new products.
Well, congratulations. It looks like you're celebrating your 10th reunion this year. And in addition, you're almost about to celebrate the 10th anniversary of founding your company. So that's a really fantastic accomplishment. And I have to say, on paper, working on frozen desserts as a career sounds like a dream job. What are your favorite aspects and what's not so fun?
Yeah, we joke about it, like getting to wake up every day and eat, dessert is amazing, especially for every employee that works here. We're always creating and tasting new flavors and new concepts, and that just inherently is fun. So I think one of the best parts about it is just getting to enjoy dessert and kind of create these products that truly do change people's lives. It gives them a way to consume what they love every day. And so that, for me, that's really exciting. I think one of the other things I love, although it may frighten a lot of people in business, is just the competition aspect of it. Being an athlete, I kind of thrive on competition and figuring out how do we perfect ourselves and become the best brand that there is out there. And so going up against brands like Nestle and Unilever, who are some of the biggest food companies in the world, that's exciting for me. At the same time, it can be scary, but it's kind of fun to just go up against these guys and see how you can create and build a better brand and a better product than they can. So those are some of the things I love. And the last thing I'd say is just building and growing a team has been really exciting. Started out with just Drew and myself, and now, over 25 employees here at the company and continuing to grow. It's just really fun to kind of build the team, get everyone aligned towards the same goals, and really working as one unit to grow the business. That's been really fun to watch happen. And then, in terms of things I don't like, I don't know. What don't I like about being in the ice cream category? I think that it's all frozen. I'd say one thing that's our biggest challenge or hardest thing that I didn't think about when going into it is that ice cream is so temperature sensitive that everything about our supply chain is just hard. And so it's a learning curve and something you have to pay a lot of attention to. But frozen products are, the hardest category in that you can't just drop a pallet somewhere and let the product sit on the floor. You have to make sure it's at the right temperature and it's limited space. And so you're all fighting for the same set area of space.
So how do you develop flavors and decide what to produce?
Yeah, so we do all of our development in-house now. We have 2 full-time food scientists on board. So a lot of it, we obviously look at data and trends that are, in industry-specific categories. So like IRI data or Nielsen data are 2 big things we'll look at just to see what's working and what's trending in both our category but others. We also have a grassroots events that we do. And so we actually launched our Game On Foundation this year, which is a 501c3 charitable organization that goes around to different businesses and organizations. So through that, we're giving out free product, we're talking and engaging with consumers, and we're kind of listening to see what it is that they are looking for. So we get that one-on-one interaction with consumers. And so we use a lot of that information too to help guide the flavors or products that we're launching. And so it's really great. We try to lean on our consumers as much as possible to get their true insights of what they want. And then lastly, some of it's just instinct and intuition of what we believe or see is going to be a strong product or flavor in the future.
You mentioned your athletic career at PC. I'm curious what you learned on the field that you apply in the boardroom in your office.
Yeah, I think I've learned a ton from sports, to be honest. Obviously teamwork is a huge one. Like you mentioned, I graduated 10 years ago. I started the business 9, so I was pretty young when we went into it. And so part of all the success we had has been surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than we are and building that team that I talked about. So teamwork is huge, and soccer is a sport where obviously every person on the field matters. And so I think that was a huge thing for me. Also, I think just the ability to kind of manage priorities and really stay focused on what it is we need to accomplish, because whether it's going to school, playing soccer at the same time, managing all the stuff that's going on between practice and study hall and classes, you really have to figure out, how do I prioritize and make sure that I'm giving enough time to each of these and making sure that I'm getting done what needs to be done. I think that same type of aspect moves over to business, because as a CEO, 1,000 things can get thrown at you in a day, and figuring out how do I manage my priorities and then make sure that I'm hitting on everything I need to be doing. I think that's been huge for me. And then competitiveness is in my blood. It's in Drew's blood. I think if you play any sport, whether it's in high school or college, that competitive nature is just key to winning. And so, like I mentioned, we're in a pretty competitive category, some really big brands with big, deep pockets. And so just having that kind of scrappy, competitive nature has been huge.
I can see from what you're describing how that drive to win can really be valuable. I'm curious, if you think back to your time in the classroom, what do you draw upon when you're in your day-to-day world?
Yeah, I think Providence was really great in making us take a lot of different classes that weren't necessarily all major specific. And so for me, as a CEO of the business, my hands are kind of in all the different aspects, whether it's sales, operations, marketing, or finance. And so a lot of the general classes we took there just helped give me a little bit of background knowledge on, how does a P&L and a balance sheet work, and really understanding what the financial metrics meant. And then from marketing and management classes, really, how do you grow a team, manage a team? What are some of the things you need to be implementing in terms of what is the best way to set goals for your team and analyze their performance? And so I'd say just the fact that there were a lot of general classes in business that I was able to take throughout my 4 years there has really just kind of gave me a little bit of insight into each of the different departments that, as a CEO, you're obviously involved in.
You had your management major, but then also sort of the general classes that you took in business really have impacted you.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know that ceramics helped me too much in what I'm doing today, but it was one of my favorite classes I took there.
Well, you mentioned your co-founder several times. Can you tell us the story about how you became friends and what led you to start the business together?
Yeah, definitely. So my co-founder, Drew Harrington, we actually went to kindergarten together. So back in 1991 is when we first met. Childhood friends, stayed close all through college. He didn't go to Providence, but he visited many times to come see us. But great friends, grew up together. Both really focused on sports and health and wellness. He went to American. He ran track there, so similar type of background. And when we were looking at the category and kind of came upon this aha moment of like, hey, someone needs to, kind of disrupt what's going on in the ice cream category. We inherently teamed up together because we had such great strengths that complemented each other. So my background is the brokerage industry, more on the sales side of things, allowed me to have kind of the strength in sales and operations. And Drew, after college, had started another business in the consumer product good industry. He had more of a focus on marketing and branding. And so it was a perfect match. One, we had the trust because we've known each other forever. Two, we had different skill sets and strengths. And so when we teamed up together, it was just a great match. And, I wouldn't have been able to probably do it with anyone else because I think a lot of those things that we have in each other, most importantly, trust, it's hard to find and it's needed when you're starting a business.
I can see that. And, you certainly knew each other really well. Really deeply. You probably consider yourself almost family now. I'm curious, yeah. What are the pros and cons of that? I mean, knowing each other so well when the going gets tough with working with friends and family.
Yeah, I know it's funny. People always say, don't start a business with family or friends, but I've worked for my dad and I started a business with my best friend. So probably didn't listen to that advice from anyone. But for us, you're never always going to agree on everything. But I think the good thing about it for us is that it is like a brother or sibling. Like you always get to a resolution and it just makes the other person, be able to think through what the disagreement is and how are we going to come to a solution on one answer. I would say in general, we actually don't disagree that often. I'd say we've worked together for so long now that we're pretty aligned on most things. But I think in general, people are always going to have some different opinions on things. And so how you work through those and come to a resolution is what's most important. And we've been able to have a great working relationship where if we do have different opinions, we talk through it and we make the best decision for the business.
You grew up really close to Providence College in Massachusetts. Can you tell us about your path to PC?
Yeah, so I grew up in Easton, Mass, so not too far. It's funny, when you're younger, you always think you're going to go to college really far away. And then when you actually go, I ended up like 25 minutes away from my home. But for me, I love New England and I loved playing soccer. And so PC for me was just a perfect fit. It wasn't too far, so my parents could come watch the games. I just loved the school. I don't know. It was just a good fit for me. The school was a great division. It was the Big East. So it allotted me the ability to get to play against teams that I had grown up watching and loving, and a great education. And it wasn't too far where my family was still close to me and was able to come support and come visit. And so for that reason, I kind of ended up there. And, if I could do it again, I'd go back to PC. It was some of the best 4 years of my life.
And if you came back, you'd get to play in Anderson Stadium. So
yeah, my house that I lived in off campus may be as nicer now too. Who knows?
I'm curious what your favorite memories of playing at PC are like, or your favorite memories when you think back about your experience.
Yeah, I think just like the people. I'm still close with some of the girls I played with, both, from soccer and just from college. I think I've made a ton of friends that I'm still very close with. And, I find that unique in some situations. Some people don't keep those relationships when they don't all live together after the fact. But my group of friends that I met at PC, we're still very close. We see each other pretty much every year at least, even though we don't all live in the same place. So it's just a really special bond that we were able to kind of make there. And for me, that was, those friends I'll have forever. And it's super exciting.
You mentioned that not only have you founded a company, but also a nonprofit. Can you tell us about its mission and goals?
Yeah, so we started the Game On Foundation as a way to kind of give back. I think since day one, Drew and I have always been giving back, even from 2011 when we first started. We were driving the truck around to, different events and kind of just handing out free product. And we'd raise the money and we'd give it to whatever, charity we thought made the most sense. So with the start of the Game On Foundation, it's obviously got a sports themed background because sports have really, really taught us, how to, we say, sweat, lead, and tackle obstacles head on. And, it's kind of through that hustle that we changed the dessert game. And so trying to inspire other people to do the same thing. So really it's based on going to different businesses or companies and kind of, we say, cultivating the inner health rebel in everyone, but kind of just getting people outdoors and moving again, because we believe that, those little steps, it's not necessarily running a marathon, but just getting outside and having this game day is just taking people on a step towards health and wellness. And that's really what we're trying to do through our brand and our product. And with that, being able to raise money and give back to whether it's a local sports team or a local community that needs assistance that is focused on sports. And so for us, that's the end goal, is being able to give back. But in doing so, we're kind of creating these game days of which we have this inflatables, like obstacle courses, little basketball hoops and whatnot. And we just create pretty much like adult recesses. And people can get outside and kind of just get a little bit of exercise in, have a good time, eat some Yasso. And then the end goal is we then donate back to the communities to help support whether it's equipment they need or gear they need. And so it's supposed to just be based on, hustling, achievement, fun, and teamwork. But it's a great little charity. We did our first event here on the Greenway in Boston most recently, and had a great turnout of people from all the local businesses around the Greenway. And so it's new. I think we actually might be bringing something to Providence at some point. So everyone can keep an eye out for it there. You see some massive Yasso inflatables down there.
Maybe we'll be able to get that for the Friar 5K.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to hear what's new with Yasso and right now and what's on the horizon.
Yeah, so new this year. So this was our first year we actually launched into the packaged ice cream category. So we now have a new line of pints that's out on the market. Similar format to our stick bars. They're, lower calorie, higher protein, kind of playing in between the diet items like a Halo Top and Enlightened, and then the super premium like Ben & Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs. So similar type proposition, really trying to deliver on taste and inclusion while still giving that kind of cleaner ingredient, better nutritional profile that the stick bars do. So that's really exciting for us this year. That was our first time kind of moving outside of the novelty set. And then, in the future, I think look forward to some new creative stuff coming out next year from the brand, really kind of continuing to develop unique flavors, and really just put offerings out in the, in the stores that are unique and different and offer people the dessert with benefits.
I'm curious when your day begins and how long you're in the office. Like, can you walk us through a typical day for you?
Oh God, it depends. So I'm in the office most of the day. If I'm not out in stores or kind of looking at what's out in the marketplace, but we have our offices here in Quincy, like I said, so a majority of our team sits here in the office. I'm here most of the day, and every day is different in terms of what we're doing, but my focus really is on, overseeing the sales and operation strategy for the business, and then really building out the Game On initiative through the different events. And then you'll see coming out soon, we're launching a podcast as well. So we'll have our first podcast launching soon, but really focused on just the strategy for the brand moving forward and how we're going to continue to make Yasso the top brand in the ice cream set.
I'm curious, you've emphasized the need to stay fit and stay focused so much. How do you maintain your focus and how do you get get out there and get moving yourself?
Yeah, I definitely think if there's one thing I've learned, work-life balance is super important, no matter who you are, just because you will be more effective if you do take time to do the things that excite you. And for me, that's obviously staying active. So, right now I'm doing the PMC coming up in a couple of weeks here. So I've been riding a lot. So it is tougher when you're working most of the day because it means you're riding at night and there's more traffic. But for me, that's been the focus right now, is a lot of biking. I also try to get up to New Hampshire as much as possible. I really enjoy hiking in the mountains. So we'll be heading up there this weekend to do some of that. But for me, it's whether it's just getting out for a walk during lunch or, riding after work or before work. I just think being able to get some sort of activity in is key to just keeping my mind focused. Don't play soccer much anymore. I don't know that I'd be that good at this point, but, I try to do other things that are a little less painful on my body at this age.
And where do you get your inspiration to keep going and do new things at work? I mean, what's on your iPad? What are you listening to?
What am I listening to? Well, I split my days between some podcasts and then some music when I'm in the office, but this probably sounds super cliche, but I listen to How I Built This most often. I just love hearing how people started their businesses, what their reason for being was, and what they've done to grow it. So it would be my most listened to podcast is How I Built This. But other than that, my music will change daily. It depends on my mood.
Well, if people want to find out more information about Yasso or want to suggest a new flavor, where can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Yasso.com obviously is our website, or via any of the social networks these days. Instagram tends to be one that we communicate a lot with to our consumers. But at Yasso.com, you can find out all about our products. You can find out about me and Drew's story and the Game On Foundation, and then you can also go to our store locator and find out where you can find the Yasso products on shelves.
Excellent. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. Subscribe to the Providence College podcast in all the usual places, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you like what you hear, please review and share with others. Thanks for listening, and go Friars.